Hello, this is Andrew with $1Million.Bike, and this is the recap for Race the Lake 2024. For those who don't know, Race the Lake is an 88-ish mile road race held in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. It's been going on for forever. I think they said 18 years. In a nutshell, it is a big, well-organized, and safe event. A big part of what makes it safe is the wave setup. To ride in Wave 1, you need to be a USAC Cat 1, 2, 3 racer. Waves 2 plus are self-selected by average speed. For some, maybe aspirational speed. The waves make it really easy to have a safe and fun ride. They are essential because of the topology of the course. There is very little to break up the groups in the first half. Normally, I would go on more about the course design, how there needs to be features to break up the race, but because of the wave system and the 5 to 10 minutes between when they start each wave, the organizer has solved the lack of features problem. So this isn't an issue as long as you're realistic about your capabilities. If you opt into a wave that is too far above your ability, that's kind of on you. Wave 1 is a real race. Everything else is only kind of a race. That's not a bad thing, it's just a thing to be aware of. This also probably amps up the safety, friendliness, sense of shared responsibility, and community for the ride. I was in Wave 2. The group raced it in the sense that we attacked each other, made the ride hard when it was appropriate, and didn't stop. I used a hydration pack so I could make sure I could drink all of my calories. I did not put a foot down over the entire course. I love that. But it was also really friendly. I took some photos, I chatted with the other riders, appreciated their bikes, we cracked jokes, and overall it was a great time riding bikes in Wisconsin. For that reason, it was more like a fast, fun, safe race simulation ride where I didn't know the sprint points. Another part of what made it safe was that all of the intersections were protected. There were cops and volunteers holding traffic so we could ride, even in the larger towns we passed through. The level of community support was impressive. Lots of people out on their lawns, watching, waving, offering water. There was even a cooler on the side of the road with a free beer sign on it. We did encounter some car traffic, but all the drivers were cool. That is somewhat unusual for an event of this size. There is plenty of parking at the start, but we rode over from a local hotel. It's great that you can do that. There is food and beer at the finish. Great vibes all throughout. I think that in general, the organizers have figured out how to do this event, and they are doing a great job of providing a great event for everyone at all levels. I would recommend Race the Lake, and I would do it again. A quick break to say that it would be awesome if you could like and subscribe if you think I've earned it. Doing these things helps the channel on YouTube, and I appreciate the feedback. I did have a couple niggles. They provided a timing device and some stickers. I didn't know what to do with them. There weren't any written instructions provided in the packet, and if they had anything on the website, I couldn't find it. For future reference, the timing device goes on your left ankle. I expected it to be annoying, but after about 15 minutes, I forgot it was there. One small sticker on the helmet, large sticker goes on the seat post. I have no idea what the third sticker is for. The other, and I'm conflicted about this one, is that because of the wave system, which I like, the only way to be competitive, to place well in your age group, or I guess more broadly, is to be in Wave 1. There is too much advantage in starting with that group because of the hitters making pace for the group for any of the other ways to overcome it. The reason why I'm conflicted about that is, on one hand, the waves make it safe. On the other, the waves make it not really a race for anyone not in Wave 1. Using my age group result as an example, I got 7th in my age group. Everyone who beat me, slots 1 through 6, were all in Wave 1. We can see the huge time delta between my result and the others, keeping in mind that I finished with the front group from Wave 2. This highlights the clear advantage that starting with Wave 1 provides. And just so it doesn't go unsaid, this doesn't concern me personally. I can do the math on my own to figure that out if I want to. My preference is for safety, and if I really cared about it, I could probably get myself into Wave 1. Apparently there is a back door for unlicensed racers, but it is something to be aware of. If you decide to do the event and want to race for an official result. A few other notables: pure clock timing. So placement at the end is the difference from when you rolled over the timing mats at the start and when you rolled over them at the finish. Given the real neutral start and the lack of features to create separation early, this makes lining up at the front of your wave a poor strategy if you are riding for a result. If you care about your time at the end, it's better to line up further back in your wave. Those 10 to 20 seconds that you spent rolling across the start line later than the other people in your wave could easily be the difference in 5, 6, 7, maybe more places at the end if you finish with a group, because those 10 to 20 seconds will be easy to make up in the rollout or flat miles after. While the course is all on pavement, there are some rough railroad tracks. The worst one is about 36 miles in. Ride with GPS puts it at 35.85. These are brutal tracks, made trickier by the downhill into them and then the angle. It is really tough to go across them straight, especially in the group. I lost a bottle, a couple riders got flats. But this is also a great example of how well supported the ride was. The 182-pound pure climber was one of the guys who got a flat. There was a SAG vehicle behind us. Guy got out, changed the flat, had him on his way in around 6 minutes. Unfortunately, he lost the group. But on the other hand, may have discovered a new love for individual time trial. There is a bottle exchange at the top of High Cliff. The bottles are standard grocery store water and Gatorade bottles. They are not bike bottles, just something to be aware of. I wasn't planning to grab one, but after ejecting a bottle on the tracks, I did and stuffed it in a jersey pocket. Now let's talk about the race. I was not planning to make this video, so I left the GoPro at home. I regret that now for obvious reasons. It would have been nice to look at those killer tracks in slow motion 4K. I will pour one out for the bottle that was lost on Sunday. It would have been nice to be able to break down the ride with video and give all my normal excuses for why I lost another race. We will skip most of that. In part because I finished with the front group. Obviously, without even hearing me say the words, you know that I lost the sprint at the end and did more work than I should have if the goal was to race smart. But as I have mentioned in the past, racing smart isn't usually a primary goal for me. The first half of the race was easy, but mildly frustrating. Only 5 or 6 of the huge number of people in Wave 2 wanted to do any work. I tried a few times to get a rotation going. We do that for a bit and then lose momentum because there is no reason to work hard to tow 50 people behind you. The course was flat. We were going into a headwind, given the huge advantage to sitting in. I understand the logic. Why work if you don't have to? Not working may be how you have the juice to cover the attacks or the few hills that are on the course. The workers in the group tried to get away a few times, let a big gap grow between the 2-3 guys at the front as you come off a pull, then wait for one of the other workers to jump the bridge, grab the wheel, get there, put in an effort, look back, everyone's still there. What you gonna do? I opted to take some photos and make some friends. Basically just considered it a group ride until we got to High Cliff. I had heard about High Cliff, knew that that was where the selections happened, so I made a point of being second wheel in. I focused on doing the watts, but doing that number in a sustainable way to make sure I had the up, flat, up, and could stick with the group and grab a bottle of water as we went over the top. The rest of it was all about doing the numbers when you needed to do the numbers and recovering when you didn't. There were a couple other punchy hills, nothing like High Cliff though. Every so often, 1 or 2 guys would get away. We would let them dangle. We always clawed them back. At one point, I had a funny conversation with the guy who won Wave 2 about that, as we let one of the guys sit 10 to 15 seconds off the front in a crosswind section for a long time. As soon as we got back to tailwind, 2-3 of us added him back into our group. Speaking about the guy who won, great guy, did so much work in the group, he totally deserved the win. The wind was definitely a factor, made some of the sections tough, made some of the other sections really fun. We averaged 27.1 miles per hour after High Cliff, and it wasn't easy anymore. My normalized power from High Cliff to the end was 251 watts, or around 3.6 watts a kilogram. Before that, normalized power was 192 watts. Let's talk a little bit more about the wind. first half was into a headwind, 12 to 13 miles an hour, which meant that we had a tailwind for most of the way back. There was an east, then south, then west jog close to the end where the crosswinds were ripping. This is where the wind conditions made the biggest difference. Quite a few of the folks that survived High Cliff got selected out in the east and west sections when gaps opened in the lines. The riders in the front made a couple 3 tight echelons. If you weren't in one of those, you were out of the draft fast. I made a point of staying in wheels 1, 2, or 3 during that part. I wanted to be driving the pace or in contact with the 1 or 2 other guys who were. I don't have a great sense of when exactly the group went from the surprisingly big number that survived High Cliff to the 12 to 15 that finished in the front group, but this is when it happened. I totally messed up the finish. I didn't know where the line was. I should have scouted that, but we got there in the morning. We had plenty of time. I just didn't think about it. I knew it was close because I could see how many miles we'd ridden, and it was obvious when we entered Fond du Lac, but then I totally got caught out when we turned a couple corners and everybody started sprinting. I'm looking around like an idiot. Why is everybody sprinting now? Oh, right. There's the finish line. Oops. I wasn't the only one caught napping, so just kept the speed up and managed to hold them off and come in 10th. Maybe? Another niggle. It's really hard to tell where I placed in wave 2 because of the chip timing thing, and they don't seem to have published wave-specific results. Before moving on, I just want to say this out loud. I love that there weren't any stupid course features at the end that made it more fun or more competitive, but reduced safety. Just some corners and a wide open street that was blocked off from traffic where I could lose another bike race. Quick chat about takeaways. I am really pleased with how it worked out. The goal was to finish with the front group and generate good training load. I managed to do both. One of the reasons I race is to generate training load in an environment where I can't control when or how much I need to work. It is good for my lizard brain. And this was great for that. For example, I hit a 5-second power PR on Sunday sprinting out of a random corner. Not at the end like you might reasonably expect. I missed the chance to do that. But I still had plenty in the tank to ride the last part with a normalized power of 339 watts. That was great confirmation that the anaerobic work that I have been putting in the last few weeks has paid off. I had the legs to make big numbers, for me, when I needed to, and the legs to hop when my lack of tactical awareness made that necessary. But here again, that lack of tactical awareness keeps biting me. It's kind of shameful at this point. It doesn't matter that I can't sprint if I can't get into the sprint. I need to work on that. Nutrition felt pretty dialed. Unfortunate when I lost a water bottle full of sugar and salt. Had the event been longer, that would have hurt. I did pack a squeeze bottle with a highly concentrated sugar and salt mix in a water solution. That saved me. I'm glad I brought it on a whim. I am working on a nutrition video. I need to finish that up. But part of the problem with that is that every time I set a new carbs per hour target, I do fine with a new number. I'd like to find the number that breaks me. Although maybe like isn't the right word. Sunday's target was 120 grams of sugar and 2.5 grams of salt per hour. I felt great at the end, no GI issues. It was also encouraging that my back was only mildly uncomfortable at the finish. Wrapping up, I would recommend Race the Lake. It is well organized, safe, and has a ton of community support. It is a well-run bike race that is as racy as you want it to be. There is a place for everyone there. I like that there is food I was willing to eat and beer at the end. I had 2 plates of rice and beans. It hit the spot. It was fun. I had a great time riding bikes. Also, shout out to Evolution Cycling, a north side of Chicago team/club. Super friendly group with a diverse set of weekday, weekend group rides. If you're in the area, it's a great option. They got 3rd in the team competition and one of the riders got 2nd in the fat bike race. Well done. I am not a member of Evolution, but I'm friends with a bunch of the folks who are. It was great to see them and hang out before and after the event. Oh, and thanks to Mari, Emrod, Yaya, and Fruz, who did a bunch of work organizing the team, grabbing packets, including mine, and they brought cowbells. It was awesome. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that useful. If you did, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I will get to them as soon as I can. Thanks.